welcome to The Other Three Amigos, Los Damas, your weekly unofficial SSE Airtricity Women's Premier Division podcast with Declan McCormack, Eileen Ring and John O'Sullivan. Find us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. So sit back, put the feet up, because it's toe tap time.
On this week's Toe Tap Las Damas, an Irish player heads to Rome, while an under-the-radar Irish coach heads to England. The question on everybody's lips is finally answered. After 2 years unbeaten, an under-19 side finally succumbs. And we look back at all the weekend's action, while also looking ahead to next weekend's All-Ireland Cup final and the clash of the top two in Talca Park. We're also joined by Owen Weirin, Megan Smith-Lynch and Pearl Slattery on this week's Toe Tap Las Damas for a Pathchat. Hello and welcome to Toe Tap Las Damas, Season 4, Episode 20, Episode 225 from the full Toe Tap offerings. We are the award-winning podcast. We are now on Patreon. We found at patreon.com/Toe Tap. Retweets, as always, are very important to help the pod grow. So if you could, we would appreciate it. And our DMs are always open. And once again, people have taken advantage of that tonight. I'm Declan McCormack, your host, and as always, I'm joined by my amiga Eileen Ring and my amigo John O'Sullivan. Guys, how are we doing this week?
Wonderful. Didn't Cork just win in All-Ireland? Why would I not be wonderful?
Not this GA nonsense
for a variety
again.
of other reasons.
We won 2, actually, Declan.
Yeah, look,
I think
congratulations to everybody
well.
involved.
Yeah, Tipperary did as well, so good day for John too.
Yeah, my adopted county.
In the real sport, anything interesting happening in the real sports of Ireland? No?
In the Olympics,
weekend. Stop! Don't start them.
Do you want to know about the Omnium? Because I learned
Is
all
that one
about
of those
it
weird
today.
cycling things? Is it?
Yeah. I learned all about it today, Declan. So
yeah, there's some weird shit in that cycling. All right, to be fair, but look, we digress already. We're only a minute in, and we're getting off the point. As always, we kick off with the last week in Irish women's football. Kind of quiet again, to be fair, but we spoke last week, Eileen, that Megan Connolly's father wouldn't tell you where she was going, and now we find out she's out. Now we find out she's off to Rome and Lazio.
yeah, I think it's a really good move. It's obviously a huge club, and I think it's always exciting. I think it's the same in the men's game. Like it's exciting when players aren't making the same moves to the same leagues, because there's, I suppose, from a lifestyle point of view, there's a lot to learn, and it's good to play a different style of football. And Megan's a brilliant player, and there'll be no fear of her over there. And I think we're going to see more and more of these moves now. Over the coming years as the women's game grows as well, that it's not just the one option that you go to the UK or you go to the US on a scholarship. Like there are opportunities in Europe, so it's great to see, and as I said, I hope she does really, really well over there.
I'm going to admit now I know absolutely nothing about the standard of women's football in Italy. Have you any insight or any idea as to what kind of level she's going to be playing at?
No, it's decent enough, and it's really growing over there. Obviously, like all the big clubs, like Juventus are the main women's side, and Roma are very, very strong as well. So it kind of then falls down along from there. But like they're all growing, and it is a fully professional league there. There's been Irish players played there in the past. Louise Quinn was playing there, and Nia Farrelly actually played for a season over in Italy. Steph Roach, Zambra played over there for a year. So. Even in the recent past, there is history of Irish girls over there. So I'm sure she spoke to them and got a good feel for the standard and things like that too.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, Rome is some city I love Rome. Great city, you know. You mentioned Niamh Farrelly there. John, Niamh has rejoined Peamount. Caught everybody on the hop a little bit, I suppose, did it?
I think it did, but it's a serious signing heading into their Champions League preparation. Obviously, it didn't pay dividends straight away at the weekend, but I mean, like, she's an outstanding player with a fantastic pedigree and will add real quality and a strength and a drive and a bit of bite in midfield as well, to complement, I suppose, some of the the younger, more skillful players they have ahead. Not to say Niamh isn't skillful now, sorry, I should clarify that. But no, it's brilliant. A brilliant signing. Yeah, a bit out of the blue, but God, what a player to be able to bring into your ranks. Like,
Eileen, are you surprised that Niamh has returned home?
And no, like she's come through the system, I think, at Peamount, so she's always going to have a huge draw there. You can always see, like, when they're doing well on social media, she's always kind of keeping an eye on the results and stuff. So I suppose if she was coming home, and I think it's important for her, I think she probably hasn't got much game time. She was London City Lionesses last year and she didn't play a huge amount. So I think, again, it's about coming home and just getting minutes under your belt and getting to enjoy the game again, because I think players at times when they go abroad and when you're not getting minutes, it's very easy to fall out of love with it and kind of forget why you do love the game. So for her, she's home, she's playing in really familiar surroundings and she's getting to play at a high level, and obviously look, Champions League football, and she's been there with them before as well, and possibly with Glasgow as well. I'd say she possibly played in the Champions League. So
I'd say she did, yeah.
Yeah, so like a great addition. I thought like she went straight in yesterday, and like she did look like a player who hasn't kind of played ball in a while. So she'll need that week or two to just kind of get up to the level. But like everybody in this league is aware of how good she can be. So she's another player like who would have a lot of aspirations to play at senior level for Ireland and has been capped at that level. So yeah, I said I'm always excited to see these players back in the league for however long that is.
Cool, brilliant. In coaching news, which is not something we get to discuss very often, former Cork City player Chelsea Noonan, who was coaching in the A-League in Australia, has joined Birmingham City, Eileen, as their assistant manager.
Yeah, a brilliant move for Chelsea. And like Chelsea's young. I'd say she's not even 30 yet, and like she's making serious waves in the coaching world. She was involved with the international under-17 setup for a long time here. Obviously moved to Australia for a year. There was an Australian player, and I can't remember the player's name now, but she got got recalled to the Matilda squad towards the end of last season, and like she pointed Chelsea out in like her commentary how good a coach she was and how much she helped her since she started coaching her over there. So it's a brilliant move, and like as much as Irish women's football is growing on the pitch, it's great to see these kind of moves off the pitch as well. And it's something obviously we have spoke about in the past, and maybe the lack of female coaches at a high level, and here's somebody at a really young age that's kicking on. And you know, Chelsea was a brilliant goalkeeper herself and probably could have went on to achieve really good things as a keeper. As it is, look, her highlight is now winning an Intermediate Cup, but look, with me, Chelsea, so it's okay. But look, it's brilliant to see her, as I said, kicking on, and like that the Irish takeover at Birmingham it's on, like, isn't it on and off the pitch? I saw Louise Quinn, I think had something up, like it's not just on the pitch we're taking over. So best of luck to Chelsea, and as I said, we'll keep an eye on where she goes, because I would think it's only up.
Absolutely. Best of luck to Chelsea, as you said. No, guys, I was in Turner's Cross yesterday and I managed to solve the biggest mystery in Irish football at the moment. I asked Owen Weirin, when was Amanda McQuillan going to serve her suspension? Amanda McQuillan sending off after the Shamrock Rovers game in the All-Ireland League. When will that suspension be served? Is it in the first round of that competition next year?
Yeah. So that will be, there was discussions that took place, but yeah, the tournament rules state if there's any suspensions that, any sending offs or anything like that that take place in that competition will stay in that competition. So that's it was good news for us. Yeah.
So there you have it from the horse's mouth. Happy to clear that up, John. Suspensions moved to next year's first round. I do believe that Shamrock Rovers have put in a preemptive objection to the result of their cup game against Shelbourne. Their legal team have advised them to get it in early, and it's kind of a just in case kind of thing. So we'll have to keep an eye on that and see how that works out.
For Christ's sake.
Very bold.
But look, we'll see. All-Ireland League first game in the rounds next year. Amanda will sit that one out. Guys, that's it. That's all that's happened this week in the world of Irish football. Irish women's football, I should say. We'll hit for the academy results. John, was the first round of the Under-17 Academy Cup. Cove Ramblers beat Kerry 3-2. Treaty United won away in Longford. Shamrock Rovers won in Wexford 5-1. Finn Harps and CK United drew 0-0, but Finn Harps won the penalty shootout and progressed to the next round. Bohemians 4, Cork City 1, Galway United 2, DLR Waves 0, Peamount 2, Waterford 0, and Athlone 1, Shelbourne 0. What would Athlone give for that result this time next weekend? In the under-19s, Tier 1, it was Bows 1, Shelbourne 3. I'm laughing here because the Shelbourne scorers in that game were Megan Smith-Lynch, who got the first, and Kate Mooney, who got 2 afterwards. So they're just going like, what was going on there? But fair play to them. They were allowed to play, so why not take advantage? Wexford 1, Athlone 3, and Cork City 3, Shelbourne 2. John, just to touch on that Wexford game, I think that's the first under-19 league game that Wexford have lost in something like 2 years.
Yeah, it's look, they've been on an incredible run, obviously, and I suppose there would have been a lot of people watching this game as kind of a, for want of a better term, a clash of the heavyweights, because Athlone had been winning all around them at under 19 level all season in the other tiers. So, Hazel Donegan got 2 goals in that before Liam McGrath pulled one back late on. But I think it's a sign that, you know, Athlone are improving at all age levels up through the club. And it's great to see. But look, I mean, just credit to Wexford. You don't want to be down on them, you know, after they have a loss or anything like that. So it's like, but 2 years unbeaten effectively at under 19s is just incredible, really.
Yeah, all good things come to an end, I guess. In Tier 2 North, it was Peamount 1, Galway United 4, Finn Harps 2, DLR Waves 1, and Sligo Rovers 1, Dundalk 2. And in Tier 2 South, it was Waterford 2, CK United 1, Bray Wanderers 0, Treaty United 4. We've already discussed it, John. There's nothing else really jumps out. I guess Megan Smith-Lynch and Kate Mooney scoring 3 times. That's kind of harsh on Bows, I guess, in a way.
It is, but look, I mean, Megan Smith-Lynch is still probably coming back off injury, needing the minutes and, you know, things like that. And that's one of the purposes of the 19th League. But when we put it, or Eileen put it up in the chat there earlier on today, the 2 goal scorers from FAI Connect, you're going, Jesus, poor Bows. Like, it's a hard one to take, all right. Have quality like that in the 19th game. Okay,
so first game of the day yesterday, John, was DLR 3, Peamount 2. Big result for DLR, and another poor performance and poor result from Peamount.
Yeah, Peamount probably need to have a look at it with the Champions League coming up soon, and how they're playing and what the form is like at the moment. It was an even enough game, to be honest. Peas will be disappointed with the goals they conceded, really, and I think that'll be the thing that'll stand out to them. The first goal is just a really straightforward ball down the middle from Jess Gleeson that Isabel Finnegan does really well to run onto, and she hits a lovely finish. Keelan Dodd's goal is just like one of the worst goal mouth scrambles you'll ever see. The ball's bouncing around for 10 or 20 seconds. At one stage, Keelan Dodd's actually lying on the ground and then gets up, and the ball, I think, like, it's Abby Brophy's shot. I think it actually deflects in off her or something. But I think what will really disappoint Peas is like that brought the game back. You know, Ellen Dolan had scored a lovely header off a Jetta Burrell cross. It was an excellent goal, to be fair. But then it's 2-1, and Peas will have been going, okay, look, we're not out of this at all. And they weren't by any means, but almost immediately from the kickoff, Abby Brophy runs down the pitch, gets the ball across that. Aisling Meehan, I think, just a little bit of it. Well, I think she's actually going for a step over, but she's just pushed straight through the back and gives away a penalty. So within the space of a minute and a half, it goes from 1-1 to Peas being 3-1 down, and DLR actually finished out quite strongly. It was pulled back to 3-2 in the end. Jetta Burrell's just go find it online and watch it, because she absolutely meant it. It's just an unbelievable goal. Like, we all know she's got an unreal right foot, but she's running across towards the left hand side of the box. Cross comes in, and she just, with the outside of her foot, chips the ball up, and I'd say it mustn't have gone far off the top corner. It's just a fantastic finish. But yeah, like, it was it was a bit touchy at times as well. There was 6 yellow cards in the game. You know, I think there's a bit of frustration on the P side as well. But I think, yeah, P's are, before they go into the Champions League, they're going to have to probably have a little think about how they're set up and how they're playing at the moment, because they'll be disappointed with this one. DLR probably just about shaded it, but overall, like, it was a disappointing day for P's.
Any questions about the penalty that was awarded, Eileen?
No, look, she comes through the back of her. I think it is a penalty. I don't think even anyone from Peamount really argues with it. So yeah, like, just that's the thing. It's to echo, like, it's, I suppose, what you've obviously brought in a couple of players this window. So what's your strongest 11? You don't have that long now before Champions League. It's about trying to bed it down. You don't even have that much time to get a bit of consistency going. Like, and I think that's their biggest problem. Like, I mean, you wouldn't think they come off the back of beating Athlone and then go out and have, your next league game to lose to DLR, like, especially after taking, I suppose, DLR's top performer this season in the window as well. So, but like, for Laura Heffernan, brilliant job. And I thought Peamount probably shaded it up until DLR scored, and then I thought DLR were good value from there, and just really, really impressive. And I think maybe instead of just like relying on one standout player, they just have a really, really strong unit. And like, swap goalkeepers again. And I thought, like, she had a very, very good game in goal. But no, yeah, that, and just echo that sentiment on Jetta's goal, because it was excellent. I thought she was brilliant all game for Peamount. Yeah. Like, she's so dangerous, and she's so honest in her work rate as well. Like, she never kind of, as much as she goes forward, she's always back giving them a dig out as well. But yeah, I think just for James, it's just to kind of sort out what's my strongest 11, what formation am I going to play, and just kind of bed that down. Look, they have that rearranged game now into next week, which I think probably suits them now, because I think you want to get as many games as you can, I think, under your belt going into Champions League.
I've been particularly harsh on Shamrock Rovers, as everybody knows, because I believe they've underperformed in comparison to the squad that they have. Are Peamount now falling into that same bracket as well, Eileen, in that their league position and the way they're performing underlies or undervalues the squad that they actually have?
I probably think they overperformed last year. Okay. That's not to say that they're maybe there's a little bit in both. I think they probably are it. I don't think they have any consistency this year. But like, they have a very young squad. They're a squad that have lost so many big players. You then went into the start of this season whereby, like, Sive Doyle has been injured the entire season. They kind of knew Erin was going the whole time. They knew she was going to be gone in the summer. I don't know if they have. I think consistency has been their issue, but I do think last season they massively overperformed. I think Peamount had a massive chip on their shoulders, and they felt last season that they were being written off, which was wrong as well. And I think that put a real fire in their belly. And I think that's really hard to recreate. I think what happened them in the off season last year, and just obviously all the goings on around it. But I think you definitely can, because it said the squad they have on paper and the starting 11 they have are really strong, but it's only in the last couple of weeks that we've seen a bit of depth to that squad. Other than that, they're relying heavily on youth, and even like the young players like Jess Fitzgerald, like, she was absolutely incredible last year, and she struggled to find that level of consistency this year, and that's totally normal. Like, I think you could probably argue the same about Ellen Dolan and Freya Healy. Like, they flash brilliant at times, but again, they're young players. It's hard to do that week in, week out, especially as they're becoming more known in the league. And we could see that a lot as Cork City fans with our own young players as well. I suppose maybe the element of surprise with them is gone there, but like, I think they're still a team that, like, no one's ever going to look forward to playing, and like, they've proved on a number of occasions this season that they are very capable of getting results against who are the top sides in this league this season. So I like, they'll always kind of, I said, you know what you're going to get. They're never going to roll over for you either.
Yeah, that's fair enough. That was the early game of the day. You just mentioned Cork City there, Eileen. Yourself and myself were in Turner's Cross. John was watching online. Finished City 1, Shelbourne 4. Hannah Healy put Shells 1 up just before half time. Leah Doyle made it 2 on the hour after what was a poor kick out from the Cork City goalkeeper. Eva Mangan pulled one back and put Cork City back in the game, but Megan Smith-Lynch came off the bench to win and convert a penalty, and then Pearl Slattery got the fourth in the last minute. So what we'll do, actually, we'll hear from Pearl and Megan. I spoke to them afterwards, and we can have a quick chat about the game then.
Yeah, maybe. I think when Cork pulled one back, could have went, could go either way. But I think we started the game well. I think we dominated at parts. I think in the transition, you were dangerous with Colleen and Ava just kind of staying up high. But I think we felt comfortable in the first half. We're just trying to, I suppose, that final ball, that final finish. And then when we went 1-0, it was just about regrouping at half time, coming out. And then you obviously go 2-0, and then you get a goal back. And as I said, look, no 3 points is guaranteed in this league anymore. Cork have a really good squad. Danny's done a great job, but we were delighted, I suppose, with our reaction when you scored, and but then 2 more goals past us. We were obviously delighted, and to take 3 points. Turner's Cross, any away ground, no easy game anymore in the league,
Yeah, Megan, when Cork City pulled that goal back, you're on the pitch at that stage. Is there any thinking of, let's just see the game out at 2-1? Or are you always looking to push for that third and fourth goal?
Yeah, I think we know that like a 2-0 scoreline is a very dangerous lead, because the next team to score, the game can go either way. So when they did score, we did realise that we were creating loads of gaps between our units. So it was important just to get back into our shape again. Stick to what we're good at, and be composed on the ball again. So we decided to get back on the ball again. We were lucky to create 2 more chances and score 2 goals just to see the game out. But it wasn't nice to concede. We don't want to be conceding any week.
And to actually get your first goal today, as you've spoken about confidence, you go into that lone game next week. Is it a case of going in buzzing now?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's nice. Obviously, when I came on my first game, that was brilliant for myself. I think the next step was probably scoring, or trying to build on minutes. So confidence definitely one. I think I learned so much patience through the rehab. So that patience definitely helped me over the last couple of weeks, and will help me for the next few weeks, and trying to get back into the team.
Pearl, your chase of the golden boot goes on with another goal today. Is that a target for you now, personally?
That definitely wasn't the aim at the start of the season. No. What? Yeah, look, anything to help the team, really. First of all, Megan, she deserves a lot of credit. All the hard work she's done to get back on the pitch. She's been brilliant support for us off the pitch as well. All of her experience, and then to come back, she's like a new signing, breath of fresh air. She's fresh in training. I can't believe how fresh she is in training the last few weeks. So it's been brilliant for us. But in terms of myself now, I didn't start the season thinking I was going to score 4 or 5 goals. It's more about, honestly, today, like, we win 4-1, but I'm more annoyed about the goal we conceded, and that's the standards we've set. Obviously, coming down here after a good win in Galway, we knew it'd be tough, but we want to set those standards that we showed up in Galway, and played a really good Galway team off the park, and they're the standards we're setting week to week. So, I'm more pissed off about the goal we conceded rather than the goal I scored. But look, anything to help the team. It's always nice to score, but look, Hannah scored a great goal in the first half. Leah Doyle as well, who's been in superb form the last few weeks, and then Megan's one scored the penalty. And nice to round it up. I think there was an assist from Megan as well, or it was Freya's little prick, but we'll give it to Megan. But no, look, delighted with 3 points, and yeah, we go into Athlone next week now.
Listen, guys, thanks a million for your time. Everybody's waiting on the bus for you as we stand there.
A pleasure to meet you in person. Amazing graphics from the 3 years. I love the podcast. Well done.
Thank you very much, guys. Best of luck for the rest of the season. So there you have Pearl Slattery declaring her undying love for the podcast, and particularly the graphics. Obviously, she starred as Gandalf a couple of weeks back on the graphic and thought it was very funny. Guys, the thing I took from that interview, and there was more to it, but I've had to cut it down, mentality. I mean, Pearl was so pissed that they had conceded a goal. I mean, she, in her body language when I was speaking, she was angry, like that. It's only the 3rd goal they've conceded all year, Eileen, and it's just, as I said, the mentality was just like, we don't want to concede. And as I said, she was genuinely angry speaking about it.
Yeah, I found it really interesting after the game. You talk about like anger and standards, like I may have had to wander onto the pitch to get try to get access to for our interviews for after the game, and they were having a proper pop off each other, the Shelbourne players. Like, if you had just walked in off the street and hadn't seen the game, you'd assume they had lost, and that's, I think, the difference. I said that to someone today, like, but then when you see them walking out of the ground, they're all the best of friends. They're like, and there's nothing personal in it. Like, they know what they're capable of. They know what they should be producing. And when they're not producing it, they're not afraid to let each other know. And I think that's like, you've senior players in the dressing room. And I think we always speak so well of the senior players. But if in that now you have younger players who are in their mid and young and early 20s who've come up through the system since 16 with that. And now you'll have 18 and 19-year-olds, and then that becomes second nature to them. And that's the way it should be. There's never something personal in football, like if someone says like that pass wasn't good enough, or why didn't you move, or why are you here, why are you there? It's just because they know what they should be doing. And I think that's always the difference between like a top side. I thought Shelbourne were very, very professional in how they went about the game. They were clinical at times, especially I think once we scored, they were just able to put the game to bed. From a Cork City point of view, I think, again, like you talk about players influencing a game and how good a player is as soon as you take them out, like Orla O'Mahony, like I don't think any of the three of us would argue that she's Danny Murphy's first name in the team sheet, and we definitely wouldn't be arguing it after that game, because she just makes everything tick, and she is just that engine in midfield because she just covers so much ground, and some of the things she might do doesn't really get the attention, or it's not kind of the headline grabbing type of fancy stuff, but it's so effective to how Cork City play this season. And I just thought as soon as you took her out of it, we were I think we were a little bit lost at times centrally. And like, I suppose you have to bear in mind, I think we'd like Jessie and Becky in there, and they probably haven't played together either, so it's a new partnership. But yet to me, Orla was just, I think, proved in her absence how key she is to this Cork City side, especially just going forward for us as we look to grow. I just thought she was such a loss. To be fair to City, look, I think Shells have conceded 3 goals in the league, and 2 have been to us. We kept, I think in the first half we didn't really lay a glove. I know myself and yourself, Declan, were getting a bit frustrated because we kind of thought there was a couple of opportunities for Colleen to be played and they kind of weren't finding her. But I just thought we were under a little bit of pressure, and Shelbourne were excellent in spells. But look, at the end of the day, and I know there's probably messages have come in because this is the way kind of Cork City supporters can get, and will kind of panic a bit and this is wrong and that's wrong. We're not at Shelbourne's level, and that's the truth. Do you know what I mean? They're one of the top teams in the league. We have outperformed this season, and look, that's maybe a little bit of a wake up call about where we need to get to kind of be challenging further up the table again. I don't think there's need for a big overreaction or anything like that. Instead, I just think, as Declan likes to say, there's levels at times, and Shelbourne are a level above us, and that's perfectly okay. We're a lot, we're not as far down the road, I suppose, as they are as a women's club either, in terms of being a really established club and successful club in the country.
John, Eileen's talking about levels. Was the 4-1 scoreline a fair reflection of the difference in levels, in your opinion?
No, I don't think so, to be honest. Danny, talking to Danny last week for the program and stuff, Danny's aware of what the those levels that are there, and one of the things he was saying was that he just wanted to be competitive, and that was his main, to show that we could go toe to toe with Shelbourne. I'm not saying he wasn't going in looking for the win, but I think he was going in being realistic about what the gulf between the two squads is. And then, look, like you said, Orla gets hurt and you're suddenly changing your plans. And I thought the game plan worked really well. I'd agree that we didn't lay a glove on Shells in the first half, but for right up until half time, we were comfortable enough ourselves. I thought, we were the poorer team, but on another, a couple of years ago, Shells are 4-0 up on us at half time, and so there's a lot of how far the team has come. And look, if you had said to me at the start, before the game kicked off, with 10 minutes to go, you'll be 2-1 down and you'll have a chance. I like the way, and look, Shells the last couple of weeks in particular, they're going through gears. They're turning into a different animal altogether. They're a serious team now. So I know it finished up 4-1. I think it did flatter Shells a little bit in the end. But again, like I said, if you'd offered me before kickoff 10 minutes to go, you'd be 2-1 down and then with a shot, I'd have taken it. And look, I think great credit to the players who probably had to do a bit of problem solving on the pitch and adapt to the loss of Orla and to the management. But look, Shells are starting to look like they're on a different level to everybody else at the moment. I think that's probably the truest statement I can make on it.
Eileen, both Megan Smith-Lynch and Pearl referenced the importance of the fourth goal when it's 2-1. We'll try and keep it plain and simple. One word answers. Penalty, yes or no?
Yes.
John?
I can't give a one word answer, but on the stream, my reaction. No, because I wasn't there, but on the stream, my reaction was it was a penalty. Yeah.
Yeah. I was there and my gut feeling at the time was, yes, it's a penalty. I think on the stream it's very difficult to see because Niamh Cotter's body's between the ball and the camera, so you're basically looking at the back of Niamh Cotter and it's hard to see. Owen Weirin wasn't sure it was. Danny Murphy was very sure it was, so it's a funny one, but it was given and Megan Smith-Lynch tucked it away. I guess the other thing that came out of the game was it was Rachel Graham's 200 appearance for Shelbourne. I believe they've only played, is it 234 or 235 competitive games as a club? And she's played in 200 of them. It's some record, to be fair.
That's crazy.
Yeah, Kevin Doyle had that stat up yesterday, and he, I don't know if you follow him on Twitter, but he's the stats man for, you'd probably get on great with him actually, Declan, for Shelbourne, and he just keeps a track of everything. So if he said 200 from 235, we'll take it. It's unbelievable, and we said yesterday, when she came on, they were 2-0 up, and we were like, oh, you get to bring on Rachel Graham. That's do you know what I mean? That's exactly the type of player you want to bring on. But she's had an incredible career. I think she's one of these players who always does the right thing. It's not spectacular, although she's had a couple of spectacular moments, but it's just always simple and it's always right. And I think for that reason, she's such a good role model for younger players. It's just sometimes what makes teams tick is that player who's just willing to put her head down for the team, and she never wants the limelight herself. You could see that the night she was on the podcast. She's not she doesn't want it. She doesn't want it to be about her. I'd say she was allergic to talking to us, to be honest. But I think every successful
club join Shamrock
has
Rovers.
Those. Every successful club will have those players, and you can see I think Noelle Murray's tribute was the best. She said the best in the league. That's not me, which I thought was very funny. That's a modesty I like. But no, she's had an incredible career, and I was slagging her when she was walking out. I think, what did she say to us, Declan? Another 200 to come. And you know what? Why not? Because she looks as fit now as she did when she was at Raheny when the league started. So look, long may it continue, I think, for Shelbourne. And look, as a supporter of the league, I think seeing these type of players, and look, for me, I suppose they're women that are around the same age as myself, and I know that my body creaks when I walk up the stairs, so I'm always really impressed by how they can continue to do these things at such a high level. So no, brilliant player, and as I said, probably one of the, I think, unsung heroes of the league for a very long time, probably not as appreciated outside of her club as she is in there.
Oh, very good. Listen, I did ask Pearl Slattery about Rachel, and this is what Pearl had to say.
Yeah, and I suppose it goes to show with the squad and the standards and the level we've been playing at Rachel's. She's had a few niggles as well, and Rachel's trying to get back in the team, and that just proves to everybody that nothing's guaranteed. But I mean, to bring her on, even last week in Galway, to bring her on when you're leading a game, she is the best in the business at that. And what can I say? 200 plus games for Shell. She's been my rock as captain. I'd be nothing without her. She's an amazing person and player, and I'm so proud of her.
Fitting tribute there from the captain to her, probably one of our best buddies, I'd imagine, at this stage, Eileen. But John, is there anything else you want to pick up on from the game before we move on?
No, I think everyone will know that we shot ourselves in the foot with the second goal. That was disappointing, probably, and they'll look at that themselves, City. But look, I think in the long run, Shells were a level above.
Yeah. Same time, in DC Park in Galway. Galway United 1, Shamrock Rovers 0. I don't know what to say. Eileen, you wondered last week whether Collie would play possum. Did he play possum? I think this team was strong enough. Joy Ralph was probably the only one that might, or maybe not the only one, but that was the very obvious change that will most likely happen for next weekend. I should just say at this point that Collie did say in his preview in the Shamrock Rovers website that Scarlett Hearn missed the game because her grandfather had passed away. So I just want to say on behalf of everybody here, We offer our condolences to Scarlett and her family and hope the week isn't too tough for her before the All-Ireland Cup final next week. The game itself, Eileen, you said in the group today that the performance from Shamrock Rovers wasn't bad. It was probably on the good side, just couldn't put a result behind it again.
No, and look, I suppose it started off kind of really frantically and real end-to-end stuff, and then kind of petered off a little bit. And maybe there was that little sense of we've a cup final again next week. So it's kind of an interesting dynamic. It's a weird one, really, I suppose, even as a supporter. And I listened to an interview with Phil Trill after the game, and he kind of said the same. It's an odd dynamic, I think, for managers and for players to be kind of trying to figure it out. But look, they're two attacking teams. They're two teams who play a really good brand of football. But I think it was a big win for Galway, and it was an important win for them. Like, I know where everyone's kind of saying it's a 2-horse race for the title race, but like, if Galway can find the form that they had and find the performances they had at the start of the season, there's no reason that they're not going to be there or thereabouts at the end of the year as well. And like we saw last season, what a platform the All-Ireland Cup was for them. That win, like, they went on an incredible run after it, and if they can go on and win that next week and go on and run like that again, as you said, like it's they'll be lifting the trophy at the end of the season. So I think for that reason, it was a huge win. They were your old buddy. I thought she was excellent, Therese Kenevi. Like when Shamrock Rovers were attacking, like she had a few really big moments for them. And look, again, maybe a goalkeeping issue. He changed the keeper after last week. Now, while she made some brilliant saves, like again, a little bit suspect at her feet. And I think maybe like it was like early in both halves, wasn't it? It was like 2 minutes in, I think, Emily Corbett. No, I think she should do better. You're giving her more grace than I am. And Stephanie Zambra definitely, and she'll definitely feel she should have done better at the start of the second half. So I think for Shamrock Rovers, it's kind of keeps coming back to that one. Like, they're just not clinical, are they? Like, it's all well and good having a lot of possession at times, but like if you actually can't do anything with it, it's not worth anything to you. And as we pointed out so rightly to you, and as you pointed back out to me today, it's results that matter, and they are struggling big time in the league. Like, so and they are quite like treating that, like, there's not too many times you look at Shamrock Rovers and be like, they were absolutely awful. They're not like they're not awful. They're good to watch, but as I said, it's that final third is letting them down with a plum. And I do think they give up opportunities at the back. And Lindsay McKee had one effort. If you get a chance, go in and watch it. It's around maybe 9 or 10 minutes in, and she gets the ball, and Amanda comes out and she goes around her, but she's nearly on the end line, like, and she shoots, and there's no doubt in my mind, like, she's shooting and she hits the crossbar. If it goes in, it's goal of the season. Like, she's off to the Puskas Awards. Like, if it goes in, to be honest. But no, brilliant win for Galway. I like Galway as a club. I think it's brilliant to see another club. Like, obviously we had Athlone winning a cup last year. Galway won a cup last year. I think it's brilliant to see them kind of kicking on that little bit. And as I said, I think Phil gave a really good interview after, and he said like the management have had a lot of self-reflection in the last few weeks as well about their performance. And he said like the squad has big characters in it. They know it's not good enough. So I think an exciting couple of weeks to come from Galway, to be honest. Kickstarting off that result yesterday.
John, Eileen references Phil Trill's interview after the game. Somebody said before we started recording, it could have been me giving the interview. I think that might be a little harsh on Phil, but there was definitely an element to throwing a little shade, was there?
Yeah, no, it was funny. But look, the thing is, you want a bit of that as well. You know, you want the coaches and the teams and, you know, the players to, you know, have that little bit of competition and drive the stories a little bit. I thought it was a good interview, to be honest. He was honest about where Galway were themselves. But yeah, look, they're going into an All-Ireland Cup final next weekend. So you want a situation where they're driving a bit of interest. And if that means you throw a little bit of shade and you have a little bit of a laugh about, you know, your opposition before the game, and you're driving a bit of interest and there's that bit of crack, I think I'm all for it. And look, hopefully Shamrock Rovers give it back as well. We saw it earlier in the season with Peamount and Shamrock Rovers kind of, you know, tweeting, you know, little videos to each other. It's all good. It's all good fun. And yeah, hopefully it'll drive a bit of interest in the game next weekend.
Absolutely. Eileen, just before we leave it, absolutely no doubt whatsoever about the penalty that was awarded. I mean, it was in the Stonewall category, really, was it?
Yeah, it was. And again, no complaints. Like, oh, and you got booked for the foul. Like, it was. I don't think there was a whole pile she could do. She went for the ball. She didn't get it. It's what it is, you know. So yeah.
Yeah, okay. John, while all that was happening in Galway, just down the road in Limerick, Bohemians were winning 1-0 again. Not quite a 4-4-2 get the ball in the box type goal this time, but look, fundamentally, it's poor goalkeeping again that has cost Treaty.
Yeah, do you know, I've literally watched that goal back, God, 10 or 15 times, and maybe it's just because I'm the nicest fella in the in the world, but I like Eva Fleming has she just has some lovely footwork just to make that little bit of room for herself. I think the ball takes a very weird bounce in front of Anna Iliak. It just seems to bounce higher than it should from the height the shot comes in at. I don't know. Now, maybe again, look, ultimately, she's going to be disappointed probably, but I do think it took a bit of a funny bounce from my perspective. But again, maybe I'm being very generous. But look, it was an absolute cracker of a game for 1-0. To be honest, they're possibly the two most entertaining sides in the league right now. Win, lose or draw, both sides all season really. They put on a show, they put in effort. The work rate is immense out of both sides, and it was no different yesterday. And really, like for the last 20 minutes, Treaty were more or less camped in in Bo's area, and Treaty possibly shaded it overall, but Rachel Kelly made a couple of unbelievable stops. One in particular in the first half from Katie Lawley that was heading to the top corner was exceptional. But really, like you just had Sarah Duke Power, Lisa Murphy, and Tegan Ruddy. They're playing, they almost did a back three at times, like, and they were just exceptional. It was a really good quality game. Just really dynamic, loads of instant, loads of effort, loads of work rate, but just two really really solid defenses. And in the end, while Bo shaded us, Treaty, it's another game where Treaty look back and they'll say how they didn't come away with something, because to be fair to Dom Foley, they and Akeza in particular, they just absolutely shut down Bo's 4-4-2, get the ball in the box. Sarah McKevitt got behind Bo's once in the first half, and Akeza comes back from nowhere to block the cross. And it was the only time Sarah McKevitt got behind him the whole game, really. The game plan to contain them was brilliant, and they probably deserve more out of it. But look, honest to God, I don't know how more people aren't going to watch Treaty, to be honest, because they're just, the games are just top quality. Even when they're losing, the quality of the games is just brilliant. It was a fantastic game. A great advert for the league.
But it's a results business, I think.
It certainly is. And yeah, it's hard. Like it is, it's so hard for them because, and like that's the reality is people are looking from the outside and they're not like us watching every game every weekend and know exactly what's happening. People are looking at the results and that's what they take it at, and they're just going to say, oh, well, they're struggling. When like that's the furthest thing from the truth. She said they're a very, very good side. You could argue the same about Bows at times. Maybe their results haven't been great, but like they're on this brilliant run now, and I think you'll probably start to see bigger crowds in Dalymount, and they're one of the sides I think that do so much good work in the community. They're naturally getting good crowds anyway. But yeah, look, it is a results business, and I think that's what's important because it's said to generate that interest in the first place. Like no one's going to listen to us. Like anyone that's listening to us likes the league anyway. But like if I try to talk to people about the league, like if you're kind of saying, oh no, but it is really really good, but the response will obviously, yeah, but they're losing. Do you know what I mean? Because I like my wife is from Limerick and I have a lot of very good friends in Limerick. And I'm like, why do you not go out and support this team? Like, and they're like, yeah, they're always losing. And no matter what I say, like most people will, until they start picking up results, I then do think you'll see a crowd. And look, they have some really good young academy players coming through there as well. They're in the Irish squad now. Again, they've good representation in the most recent under-17 squad and things. So I think that will all help as well. But I look, they're very much a club on the way up, but it is hard. Look, it's hard. We could see it. We see it week in, week out. It's really, really hard to grow the women's game crowd wise, especially maybe at different times of year when it's clashing with different events and stuff like that.
Speaking of clubs that are finding it hard and difficult at the moment, Sligo Rovers went to Athlone in the final game of the night, Eileen, and inside a minute and a half, found themselves down to, what's the correct terminology? Because I would always say 10 men, but it's obviously that's incorrect. So is
Look,
it 10 women, 10
I'm
players?
obviously never really offended. So if you said 10 men, I wouldn't have even thought of it twice. But I suppose 10 players because we'll offend someone.
Okay.
But like,
Found
10
themselves
players.
down to 10
Eileen still
players.
shouts "man on" at a game, so don't worry about it.
I do, like, do you know what I mean? It is what, come on. Let's not be getting upset over every little thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so hard from them from then on. And look, it's just that, first of all, Bonnie McKiernan and Casey Howard, I'd wish them both well because it was nasty enough, and big credit to Athlone. They pulled the cameras away straight away. They do. And like, I think like that's really important, especially with LOI TV. Like you can, I think in particular in the women's game, and it's something we have spoke about, it's not given the attention that the clubs don't give the attention that what they do to the men's streams at time. So like Athlone probably is the one place, maybe other than Wexford, where they'd have the cop on to get the cameras out in that kind of situation, and they do that. So just to wish the two players that were injured well, and I do believe that it's not too serious for both of them, which is great to hear. But look, from the match point of view, I think Sligo were up against it anyway. I think Athlone are coming into that game like a wounded animal as well after the Peamount game, so it was always going to be hard for Sligo. But to go down to 10, and like Athlone were absolutely relentless. Roisin Malloy was incredible, like the LOI team of the week. Like if the LOI team of the week isn't 1 to 11 Roisin Malloy, then what's even the point of the LOI team of the week? Like, to be honest, they were excellent. Like Amber Hardy came on for once McKiernan was sent off, and she did really, really well. And like defensively at times they did really well. Big late blocks. Maybe look a little bit where Athlone guilty, maybe is it Tabe. I think she could have had maybe about 6 goals. She had some really, really good opportunities, but again, she's new to the league, and she's very much finding her feet. I thought at the time she was brilliant, and she's a totally different option to Casey Howe. She doesn't have just that electrifying pace in behind, but big physical player, and she's a real handful. And she's always looking to bring in players around her. She is probably like that traditional, like old school number 9. She might be ideal. Ken Kieran will be watching her. Like, you want to look out. He's a striker like that available. But no, I thought Athlone were brilliant. Like back to that kind of free flowing brilliance that we saw earlier in the season. And it's hard for Sligo, but they keep plugging away. And again, a bit like Shelbourne earlier on, I think Athlone will be scratching their heads at the goal they concede. Like it's just route one, and they get done by a hop. Look, I think that's the joys of AstroTurf pitches, though, isn't it? Like they have that kind of unnatural. You could think exactly where the ball is coming, and it hits the spot and it's gone, and that's exactly what happened. But it was a brilliant finish. Tommy Hewitt was obviously sent off for Sligo. I think that's just, I didn't see what happened. He was sent off at half time, and it was off camera. But regardless of what happened, I'm going to go out on a limb and just say it's just born out of pure frustration, because I think they're just having such a hard time of it. And said, like, it's not through lack of effort on the pitch or anything like that. They put it in from minute 1 to minute 90. It's just it's said, like, they're just struggling at the moment to kind of just establish themselves, I think, properly in this league. But I think watching the way Athlone played last night and watching the way Shells have played the last few weeks, like next week is going to be, it has all the makings of a classic. So probably boring 0-0. So generally these things happen, don't they?
While you were talking there, I just actually read something that I was sent. That basically says Tommy Hewitt was sent off at half time for questioning why Bonnie McKiernan was sent off for the foul on Casey Howe. John, I'm going to be honest. No, we don't know how vigorously he was questioning it. I think some referees are sensitive, and that if a manager goes near them at halftime, they just take out red cards. I have a lot of, I feel sorry for some of the coaches and the managers at times with how they're dealt with. But we don't know what happened, so we can't speak to that. I'd be honest with you, I don't think Tommy Hewitt has much of an argument over the red card. I know it's not intentional, but it's like 25 yards from goal. It's that whole due care and attention for the opposition player. Like she cleaned Casey Howe out, so I'm not sure there's an argument there that it's not a red card, to be honest.
Yeah, look, I don't think there's any malice whatsoever in it.
No.
Look, it's a goalkeeper rushing off her line, trying to get up for a header, not like getting it wrong effectively. And look, it's dangerous play. That's what it comes down to. Like, again, you don't have to mean it for it to be dangerous. So I like not suggesting McKiernan had any malice at all in it, but the fact that both players were, I think, like, she probably came off as bad as well. Like, I think the fact that both players were taken away to hospital afterwards just shows how dangerous it actually was. So whether there's malice or not, to be honest, I'd agree. I don't think Tommy can have too much of an argument, to be honest.
Yeah, as you said, both players did go to hospital. Thankfully, happy to be able to report that both are okay, concussions and things like that, but they will be okay in the long term. Just finally on that incident, Eileen, and I don't want to harp on it too much, but something stood out to me. Two things stood out to me. One was the camera situation that you've already mentioned, that alone pulled away and pulled back so that you couldn't see what was happening. And the second was Laurie Ryan's role. And I know Laurie probably won't appreciate it, pointing this out, but to me, when something like that happens, somebody who's just calm and in control of their emotions and what's happening is worth their weight in gold. And Laurie Ryan was just sitting with Casey Howe, talking her through it. And because she was so calm, everybody else was taken from her and everybody else remained calm. And I mean, I think there was at one stage, it was hard to see what she was doing, but because Casey Howe had been split and had sat up at one stage, she must have, there must have been blood around, and it appeared as if she was washing blood off Casey Howe's legs while Casey Howe was lying on the ground, and I was just looking at it thinking, like, it's just incredible leadership from a captain, and, it's just incredible from a human being to do the things that are necessary without thinking about it, to just ensure that Casey Howe's okay, Bonnie McKiernan's okay, and that everybody else is just remaining calm and taking their lead from her. And as I said, I just wanted to mention it because I thought it was something that should be mentioned and acknowledged.
Yeah, and look, I suppose you would expect that type of level from someone like Laurie, and I think you have to bear in mind as well maybe her own history of injuries in relation to head injuries. So I think her more than anybody else is aware of how scary it can be in that moment. And I've had head injuries myself on a pitch, and it's terrifying, like it is. And as said, it's just that little moment of calm, and it's a bit of reassurance and kind of a solid word in that moment. And Casey, I might not even remember that. You don't know, depending on if she was or wasn't concussed, we don't know. But yeah, as you said, like, and you see that all the time, I think, with serious injuries when they happen, I think in the league, that rivalries can be parked for a second. As you said, like Laurie checked in on Bonnie McKiernan as well. But I do think in a situation like that, at times, it's just that little bit of experience. And again, maybe unfortunately for Laurie, personal experience, because as I said, like if you are listening to this podcast and you haven't read any of the interviews where Laurie spoken really openly about her own history of head injuries and recovering from them afterwards and the struggle she had with that, like it's certainly worth Googling and looking into, because it's pretty awesome to see that she's back playing at such a level in two sports.
No, that is true. So, yeah, fair play to everybody who looked after that incident. And as I said, obviously delighted to hear that both players will be fine in the long term. That pushes us into next week, guys. There's 3 league games next weekend, 1 on Sunday, 2 on Saturday. As I was putting the doc together for tonight, I started to get annoyed again, I'll be perfectly honest with you. The fact that Shelbourne play at Athlone on the same day that the All-Ireland Cup final is played, it's just annoying me. And I know there's nothing anybody can do. It's just the way it worked out. But like Shelbourne Athlone, the top 2, is a standalone fixture that probably should be on TG Cahir. And instead it clashes on the same day with the All-Ireland Cup final. And then you have Wexford and Peamount kicking off, and Wexford at 6 o'clock, which means that game isn't finished by the time the All-Ireland Cup final kicks off at 7:35 in TG Cahir. I'm just kind of going, like, is anybody here paying any attention to detail? Or am I just going off and one again about absolutely nothing, John?
No, I agree with you completely. To be honest, like I can't remember what weekend it was, but there was a weekend a couple of months ago where the games just happened to sit like 2, 4, 6, 8 or something like that, and like no matter who you supported, what you wanted to watch, you could watch your own team. You could catch a second game if it was interesting to you. You have a couple of standout games coming this weekend, and one of them an All Ireland Cup final, and they're overlapping, and it's silly. Like there's nothing to stop. There's nothing in the world to stop the three games having been scheduled at 3, 5, 7:30. Whatever. It's silly stuff. Like you want to have a situation where, if you're a fan of Wexford, you can still watch the All Ireland Cup final. It's like there's people that are interested in multiple games, and obviously it's not possible to watch everything all the time. But if you've got a cup final, Jesus, make sure there's nothing overlapping with it. Like give it. It also, I think, takes a little bit from the credibility of the competition that it's not considered important enough to move a league game away from it, like for an hour, the sake of an hour. Like.
All they had to do was say Wexford. Shelbourne game's 2 o'clock. Wexford kicks off at 5 o'clock. That game's over and it's standalone. Instead, Wexford's kicking off at 6 o'clock and said that's not finished by the time the All-Ireland Cup game starts. But look, it's just a fat lad on the podcast ranting about nothing again. So we'll back it up to 2 o'clock, Eileen. Shells against Athlone. Game of the season so far. Probably won't be surpassed in terms of its importance before the season ends. Everything's on the line on Saturday.
Yeah, really, really big game. Look, there's still a long way to go, and I suppose it's like they both maybe 7 more games to play after it. So like, it's certainly not going to decide the league because, again, they're both going to have. They're not whoever wins or at the weekend. If a team wins at the weekend, I don't think either of those sides are going to go the rest of the season without dropping a point. There's just too many other good teams in the league that are capable of taking points on a given day. But look, in terms of momentum, it is massive, and look, both sides will know that as well. Again, like maybe Shelbourne's experience of having more of these games and the fact that it's in Talca Park, maybe would probably lean to them being slight favourites, but at the same time, Athlone have proven in the past that they're very, very capable of going to Talca and getting results up there. They've beaten them in a cup final, so they've beaten them on a big occasion as well. So look, I mean, we know there's not a whole pile to give between them. I just think, like, on the day, I don't know, obviously, will Casey Howe be in or out for next week, but I probably think Shelbourne's what they're able to bring off the bench, I think, could maybe be the difference in it. I thought Kate Mooney, when she came on down in Turner's Cross, was brilliant. I just thought she looked really, really sharp, looked eager to get shots off, just drop in, get the ball and make things happen, and that's something they've lacked. She's obviously played for the 19s today, got 2 more goals under her belt, so she's getting more and more match sharpness in. So I think, as I said, like being able to bring someone like her, someone like Megan off the bench, just that little bit of cuteness, that little bit of know-how, how to win games, that could be really big, and I think may swing the game in Shelbourne's favour, but there's not going to be a whole pile between them.
Speaking of Megan Smith-Lynch, I caught up with, obviously, Owen Weirin yesterday and Megan, asked them both about Athlone. I'm just going to play these back to back, and we can come back then to John for his thoughts.
We've been kicked outside the ground, but Toad Tap presents Pathchats, bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the stars from the Women's Premier Division. Pathchats with Toad Tap.
I think it's important not to get too hyped up about it. Approach it as just another league game. Listen, we know the backstory behind, and we're first and second in the league. It is a massive game, but it's not a league defining game either. We'll approach it the same way we have done. You mentioned our mentality, and our mentality is just we want to win every week, and it's going to be that same approach all this week as well, and try and work hard all week, try get the 3 points, and then build on that now, because it's coming to the crunch time of the season. So they're going to be every week's going to be a vital 3 points no matter who we play against.
Athlone at home next week. It's a huge game in terms of who wins the league and that, but I mean, it's not a league defining game or a championship defining game, in my opinion. Would that be the way you would see it as well?
Yeah, definitely. Look, it will go a long way, towards going who could win it or who's in the driving seat. Absolutely, but for us before today, my message to the players was we've got 8 big games, and you get the same amount of points for each game, and then look no further than today, because Cork away is a really difficult game, and we've seen over the last number of months that teams have struggled to come down here and score as many goals as we have, or have as many chances as we had. So it was a case of taking one game at a time and then seeing where it takes us.
You were missing a couple of bodies today. Is there any chance that Noel will be back for that game next weekend?
Yeah, we would expect Noel to be back. That's something that we'll probably know more about over the next day or two, but the signs are good, and with a player like Noel, it's hard to stop her from getting onto the pitch anyway. So if there's any chance she'll be fit, she was the same going into the Galway game last week. It was a little bit touch and go, and look at the performance that she put in then. So I'd expect with another few days rest, she'll be fine for next week.
Well, listen, thanks a million, and best of luck next weekend and for the rest of the season. Much appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate that.
John, Owen is saying there that it's a big game. It's going to go some way to deciding things, but it's not a league defining game. Megan is saying the same thing, and again, she's not afraid of the game. It's just attitude and mentality, and I think that's possibly what gives Shelbourne the edge going into it, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree. I think Shelbourne probably are favourites. I think the Casey Howe situation is, like, obviously her health comes first, but I do think she could be a massive loss if she's not available. But ultimately, like, the way Shells have gone through the gears the last couple of weeks, they're and like, you have Kate Mooney there now, and you have Megan Smith-Lynch coming back and getting minutes under her belts, and even like Eileen said there earlier, the ability to bring Rachel Graham off the bench if you're a goal up on that lone side. I think Shelbourne are favourites going into it. I think the way Shelbourne's season has gone, and the fact that they've conceded so few goals, I kind of think it's almost one that Lone have to win. They certainly can't afford to lose, in my opinion. I know we're saying there's a lot of games to go, but the way Shells are going at the moment, I think if they're going to wobble at all, it's going to have to be this weekend against that Lone, because I just think they're getting too good at the moment. But again, what do I know? I tipped that Lone and Galway as the top 2 after 3 games, like, so. But no, I think Shells are I think Shells are favourite. But look, like, if at Lone of players that if they're on song, they can tear any defence apart. That's the other side of it.
Eileen, I'm convinced that the only reason he started Megan Smith-Lynch and Kate Mooney today in the under-19 game is because he wanted more minutes in their legs, and he intends to start both in that game next Saturday. Would you agree?
I'm not sure. Megan in particular, she's obviously come back off knee surgery, so I do think Megan's going to be someone, her minutes are going to be worked up. Possibly with Kate Mooney, yeah, because I do think she's had a little few niggles, but I think hers is more just match sharpness and things like that. But you have to bear in mind, Noelle was missing in Cork as well, so she comes back in. As I said earlier, I thought they were very good at the weekend. I don't know, it's very harsh to pull 3 out of the starting 11. I'm not sure will he do that. But for me, Kate Mooney looked probably fairly, if she's fit, I think she goes in. I just think with Megan, it's not anything to do with ability. I just think it's a case of they're going to be very careful as they kind of ease her back in over the next few weeks. Like I said, she's worked incredibly hard. She had quite a serious knee injury, so, and like you have, I think it's the impact she can have in a game, and we saw it. Like, she was so pivotal when she came on the other day. Like, just that little bit of cuteness. I know I said it was a penalty, but like, she knows exactly what she's doing when she gets to get the penalty. And like, something like that coming off the bench is, and like her ability to just get at players and be fouled is, I think, could be really, really big.
Okay, let's go for predictions. So, John,
1-0 Shells.
the Arsenal, so Shelbourne,
Yeah, pretty much.
scoreline. Eileen?
I will go 5-4 Shelbourne.
We all know that's not happening anymore.
No, I know, but you're looking at me dream, okay?
Okay. We leave you with that one. So, like I'm weighing it up. I mean, Athlone are very good going forward, but if Casey Howe doesn't make this game, is there a touch of the unknowns about Brenda, Eileen, and in a kind of twisted way, would it actually give Athlone a little bit of an advantage even?
Possibly, but I think the fact that she played so much at the weekend, like you kind of have a good idea what she's about. But I just think Casey's pace it's going to be a huge miss. But like I said, Brenda offers something totally different and said very, very effective at times, even maybe if she's not as clinical. But look, that could just be a case that she's brand new to the league as well, and that will come in a couple of weeks. But I think she's going to be a big player for them in the run-in, but it's a very big game, I suppose, early in her League of Ireland career as well. But look, as I said, I don't think she certainly won't be found wanting anyway if she is put in from the start on Saturday.
Yeah, I'm going to say 1-1, and that the league is alive and well going into the following week's games. Just in case people don't know, well, people won't know, but I had to abandon my house halfway through this podcast because of the thunder and lightning storm, and I'm on satellite broadband, and it got completely knocked out. I'm now sitting at the top of a hill in my car behind my house. I'm not sure if people can hear it or not, but the rain is thumping off the car. There's lightning, just the sky is lighting up around me. It's just done it there now again, and I don't get nervous about things, but I am sitting there kind of going,
You're in a car, you're in a very safe
now.
place.
Yeah.
No, you're in a safe place.
you
So the
couldn't be
lightning will
safer,
just
Declan.
bounce off the wheels. You're fine by.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
But can I say the angle that the camera's at right now is fucking terrifying for me and John?
It's just waving around in my hand.
It's going to haunt my dreams tonight.
No idea what you could see. What was it? My nose, was it?
It was a bit of everything, really, Declan, to be honest.
John, after that game, like, I'm not sure anybody cares about Wexford and Peamount on Saturday. I know that sounds harsh. Right? But
Like, John obviously cares a lot.
Yeah, what you talking about?
It's probably reality.
Yeah, it's a funny one. I on the face of it, you probably look at Peamount's recent run of games and you go, that Wexford might be slight favourites for it. I do think it'd be interesting to see what the bye week or coming off their bye week does to Wexford. That has impacted some teams before, and I think those players that they're betting in will have had another game under their belts. I don't think they played badly at the weekend. They'll be disappointed about losing the game, but I didn't think the performance was that much off. But yeah, I think Wexford probably just about have enough in the tank to get over the fact they're coming off a bye week. I think they've been improving. And again, their most recent game was a penalty shootout loss, which probably is still hurting them, so I think they'd want to bounce back and get back to winning ways, and I kind of think they might just shade it, given that it's in Ferrycarrig.
Do you agree, Eileen?
I do. Yeah, no, I'd be inclined to kind of head towards Wexford as well, based on form, but also based on Peamount's form, they could come out and win 5-0. Like, it's a bit bananas as with all the league. But no, I thought Wexford are in good form at the moment. As said, I know the bye week is a thing, but at the same time, I do think they're playing well.
Okay, after that game, well, before that game finishes, the All-Ireland Cup final kicks off in Tal. It's madness. Like, it's the more I say it, the more I shake my head. Like, it's madness. But anyway, Shamrock Rovers, Galway United in Tala, Eileen. Does last week's result, performance, all that stuff have any bearing on this game at all?
I don't think so. I just think it's a completely new fixture. And I think both sides will approach it like that. I don't think anyone's even going to think about last week nor the previous game they played in the league in Tala. I think what we've seen from them this year is there's not a whole pile between them. I think was it 2-1 wins for Galway in the two games. So like there's not a huge amount beside them, or between them. Two really good attacking sides. I'm delighted TG Carr are covering it. Obviously, of course, I would like, again, even if it was an 8 o'clock kickoff, so that everybody can sit down and watch it, because I do think that's important. Like, a TG Carr are giving great coverage to the league. But again, and it's something you see in the men's league, like the way for the numbers to be higher is going to be that the games that are on TV aren't clashing with other games, like, because inevitably, like, you don't want supporters of the league out watching the team they support or whatever it is. So I'm just looking forward to it. As I said, I'm kind of going to lean towards, I believe he referred to his side as the plucky underdogs from the west of Ireland to go back to back with All Ireland Cups. And I'd like to see them do it. As I said, I like seeing kind of the spread around the country. I think it's really, really good for the league, and I think it's really important for the league. And especially for a club like Galway, who we could see what they can do in terms of crowds they've had at times this season. And yeah, I'm going to back Galway to break the curse that all their GAA sides has of losing All Ireland finals to get a win on next Saturday in Dublin. Sorry, Galway.
John, Eileen said there that the previous games between the two sides won't have any bearing on Saturday night's final. But one could put it that they've played twice this season. Shamrock Rovers have failed to get a result in either game and have also failed to score in either game. So therefore, Galway must be a big favourite on Saturday.
I think Galway probably will be favourites on Saturday, but I don't think I don't think that's going to really influence Shamrock Rovers too much. Funny enough, I think the fact that the game is on in Tala doesn't hurt Galway as much as it would hurt other sides, because they do have the ability. You know, they've got that pace. They can use the ball really, really well. I think some clubs go up to Tala's pitch, and the size of just the sheer size of it kind of changes how they set up for games. I don't think that's going to happen with Galway. I do think on form, though, if you go back over the last month, I think Shamrock Rovers have been a little bit better than Galway. And I think that, I suppose, goes back to what you said, Decky, that squad should probably be higher up the table and possibly has a really big performance in them. And I think you bring Joy Ralph into the starting lineup next week, and I think it does change the dynamic a little bit. And I think Galway may start off as favourites, and maybe people disagree with that, I actually think Rovers might edge it.
I said after the group games finished that I tipped Shamrock Rovers to win it, so I'm not going to abandon them now. But I think if they win it, it will probably be on penalties. You know, I think it kind of almost has 0-0, 1-1 maximum written all over it. Galway haven't been in great form. I think the win on last Saturday gives them a boost. I think the fact that they've won in Tala already does also give them a boost. I think they're better on the sideline. I'd just say it straight out. I think so. I think they've all that going for them. So it's a difficult game for Shamrock Rovers. And if I hadn't tipped them, I probably would go for Galway now. But I tipped Rovers after the group stage finish, so I'm not going to abandon them now. So come on, the Shams. Do me proud. Show everybody I was right.
They'll lose now just to spite you.
Yeah, that's you know. Listen, either next week I come on and say I tipped them after the group stages and I was right, or they don't win and I come on and I say I was right. You know, it's no lose. There's no bother. It's pretty easy. I really wish. Yeah, look, I shouldn't be. I was going to say, but I'm not purposely winding clubs up, but like, I mean, it is what it is. Okay, guys. On Sunday, Treaty go to Sligo. 2 of the bottom 3. Probably a bigger game for Treaty, Eileen, is it?
Yeah, I think, look, I think Sligo probably just want the season to end, to be honest, now at this point. So yeah, it is, because Set Treaty they still are looking for that elusive win at the moment in the league, aren't they? I know they had the big cup win, but in the league they still are struggling to get results. So look, I mean, the reality is, if it clicks for Treaty, a bit like Shamrock Rovers, like, they've the ability to, I think, win comfortably on the day, but it just, does it click? Equally, Sligo are going to be looking at that game saying, like, here's one for us, we're at home. Here's a side that's not picking up results, so why not? I think of all the fixtures they're looking at, like, that probably one that they definitely be thinking, yeah, look, here's something we can get something from, and maybe build from there. But yeah, I'm going to kind of side from Treaty again. Like John said, I just think they're really, really good to watch. They play a great brand of football, and yeah, the results they don't have to start coming, but they surely will start coming for them, and maybe starting on Sunday.
You see it that way as well, John?
Yeah, I do, to be fair. I think there was a couple of moments in the game on Saturday where Steer and Lawley linked really, really well, and I think Daniela Steer's she's in the league now a little bit, and they're getting used to playing with each other, and I think that would worry Tommy Hewitt and the Sligo team. And I assume as well he's going to be serving a suspension, so he won't be on the sideline for the game, and that might have its own impact as well. So Sligo did defend really well at times against that loan, but I think the way Dom Foley's been setting teams up for the opposition all year, he's going to look at how that loan went at Sligo. And yeah, I think he has enough about him to set up there that Treaty will come away with a win.
Cool. Well, look, while we're waiting to look forward to that, let's have a listen to this.
Postman pattern in black and white cat. The cat mix race. Early in the morning, one bag of man is yawning, and pick up all of the post bag in a heaven.
Okay, just a couple of quick DMs. First off, lads, I just want to say it's a disgrace that the club made you do interviews on the side of the road. Hearing that said was one thing, but the fact they enforced it to one of the only platforms for the league is a disgrace. I wanted a message just to say how much of a breath of fresh air Ken Kiernan's Bows side were yesterday. The whole side was hard-working, physical and energetic. Every player that played put in a shift and dug in for the win. Their defence is full of players who actually want to defend and are able to head and kick the ball like a defender should. Donnelly was exceptional in midfield as a screen, and Aoife Brennan was great linking the play. Mike Bassett's side are a real throwback and enjoyable to watch. Fair play to Ken, because I did think it could be a long season for them. So some mailbag praise for Ken Kiernan straight off the bat there. I think we've covered a lot of that over the last couple of weeks. One thing I will say just in regard to the first part that I didn't mention was, look, yeah, we did the interviews on the side of the footpath. I'm not getting into it. Where we were asked, that's what we were told by Cork City. That's what we did. We'd always do as we're asked by clubs. I know, because I sent Shelbourne an email today thanking them for, doing the interviews, etc., and apologising that Pearl and Megan and Owen had to leave the ground to go to the footpath to do the interviews. And Shelbourne came back to me and said, look, they appreciate it. It wasn't us. They understood us, but they are going to the FAI. I don't know, is it to make a complaint or just to make the FAI aware of how unhappy Shelbourne were with the fact that their staff and players were asked to leave the ground to conduct an interview. So I don't know how that'll turn out. I have my suspicions, but I'm not going to preempt it. But let me just say, if the FAI shrug their shoulders and walk away from it, it won't surprise me in the slightest. We have one other DM, which is a Cork City one, Eileen. You referenced earlier on that things can get a little, I don't know what's the word, anxious maybe, in Cork when poor results happen. Do City women need to go back to what was working well at the back? Alex or Edison, Cotter, Mack and Senna. Mixture of strength and pace with a pairing of centre halves that complement and cover each other in Cotter and Mackin. Maybe try Colleen and Chloe on the wings and try play with a number 9 that can hold up the ball and play and maybe try and create a goal. It's the same tactic every week. Hoof the ball up the pitch and hope for a defensive mistake. Will only bring you so far in this league. Too easy for teams like Shells to defend, one pressing up front versus 3 defenders. Waiting until 60 minutes or more for 2-0 down before making the very obvious changes needed during women's games is beyond ridiculous. Can someone explain the logic to me, please? Do you want to explain the logic, Eileen?
Well, I can't, because I obviously give out about Danny enough as well. But I think it's very harsh. It's off one game. I know they're saying that back four. Look at that back four. At times we're on the pitch when we probably had our biggest losses of the season as well, and that's not being disrespectful to those players. I think the back four he's had in for the last couple of weeks have done really, really well. Again, I do think a lot of yesterday and how we played was the fact that we're missing Orlo Mani. Also, I very much agree. At times, I think we were very one-dimensional going forward up until about 4 weeks ago, and you're starting to see little passages of play. But I think, and Declan, 'cause you sit next to me at games, I do get frustrated at times that I think changes can be slow to happen. But look, as I said, I'm not a manager, and I would probably don't see a game as the Cork City bench do. But look, as I said, I think as soon as City lose, there can tend to be a little bit of kind of, oh my God, what's happening? And for me, we're outperforming. I think at this point of the season, we've more points than we've had the last 2, if not 3 seasons combined. So sometimes it's good to maybe just take a little step back and take a small bit of perspective. We're a young squad who are very much learning. They're learning on the job. And I just think, again, it comes down to we're one of the sides that's not getting much investment from the club. Our current owner has said this, I think, on a podcast, that in terms of paying players and stuff. And I think in this league, it's really hard if you're not going to be paying players. I think from a Cork City fans' point of view, what's been really interesting to watch this year is I've noticed our sponsor on the men's and women's jerseys is Zeus, and I've seen the owner of that company. He's obviously really, really interested in the women's section of the club. I understand he's given jobs to players, which is brilliant. So I don't know, maybe if he has that level of interest and is clearly that big a supporter, maybe we might see a little bit more of his sponsorship funnel more into the women's side, and because I do think that's needed. If the current owner isn't willing to pay players a wage or expenses or whatever else it is that their other players are getting in other clubs, then maybe that could be an option. So for me, that's kind of been an interesting thing I've been keeping an eye on for the last few weeks, and he's at every single game. So I think that could be a positive going forward. But I think for this squad, they do need, I think there's a really high ceiling for this Cork City squad. But it needs that little bit of investment and real 1 or 2 real quality kind of experienced players to come in, I think.
John, I'm going to be honest. I think this is a bit of a mad shout. I think Cork City are overperforming, to be honest with you. I think their league position is probably greater than some of the individual parts. I think I had all this stuff at home, but as I said, I had to abandon ship, and I didn't pick it up and bring it with me. I think after 11 weeks of the season, Cork City had the worst defensive record in the league. It's now the second worst. DLR have conceded 28 goals. Cork City have conceded 24. I mean, Sligo are bottom. Sorry, Cork City have conceded 26. Sligo are bottom, haven't won a game all season, and have conceded 24. So the idea that there was a back four that was working, the evidence isn't there to support it, to be honest.
Yeah. I'll trust your stats, but look, we've got very talented players, very talented young players. But I think over the last couple of weeks, we've seen Kira and Shauna step back in, and I think what they have that possibly was missing for those early parts of the season was a voice. And I think if you don't have Doro in there, we're quite we're a quiet team on the pitch, and like there's long careers ahead of the back four at the start of the season, and you'd hope that in 4 or 5 years that'll be our starting back four. But no, I don't think that we need to be overreacting to a game, a late loss. Like I said earlier on, we were 10 minutes ago we were 2-1 down to Shelbourne, who are the best team in the league at the moment, and I wouldn't be overreacting at all. The thing about the substitutions, I mean, like we're 1-0 down after an hour, and when they scored a second goal, and then Danny's got to change things up. But at 1-0 down against Shells after an hour, why are you changing stuff? Obviously, it's working to a degree. Like I don't see the obvious change that was referenced there at that stage. And then look, the substitutions. Like I don't see Freya as a centre half, but the reality there is you want to go more attacking. So Ciara is sacrificed to pull Freya into the centre half position on the left hand side, because if you get a free kick or you get a corner up the field, Freya's delivery is a weapon. So if you want to go more attacking, you can't really pull Freya out there when her deliveries are so important. So no, look, I think on mature reflection, or whatever that old Brian Linehan phrase was, look, it's a couple of games after a loss to the league or a couple of days after a loss to the league leaders. I wouldn't be throwing out the baby with the bathwater. We've made massive progress. We've got a squad that's gelling and coming together. Players with experience there that they can give, players young with, just like you see, like Eileen said, where the ceiling is immense. Just like let's not worry about what the week to week looks like. I mean, Orlamani was a big loss this weekend, but I thought we did okay against Shelbourne. Shelbourne, an exceptional side. I wouldn't be panicking.
Absolutely, guys. We leave it there for this week. Are there any shout outs, hellos, goodbyes, anything either of you want to dish out before we
just very quickly before you're electrocuted in your car? There was 12 yellow cards and 2 red cards this weekend across the 5 games. That felt really high for a women's Premier Division weekend. I know you're the statsman, Decky, but that felt weird to me. There was so many cards flashed.
Yeah, but 6 of them came into one game, and one of them is to a manager, so it kind of it counts and it doesn't count, kind of thing, to be honest with you. What it was actually was the highest scoring weekend. I forgot to mention that. There was 18 goals this weekend, which makes it the highest scoring weekend of the season so far. Yeah. After that, I can't argue with you, John. As I said, cards aren't really a thing in the women's game. As such, they're not. It's only the second red card to a player this season. While either of you remember who received the first one?
Kylie Murphy.
Yeah, there you go. I knew you'd know that. I knew you would know that. Okay. As I said, any other shouts? Any other things you need to get off your chest?
Yeah, I'd just like to wish John safe travels and have a lovely holiday, and I hope he enjoys his Sunday night off.
Absolutely.
Thanks I don't even know if I'm going to be going anywhere. I'm flying out of Cork and looking at the weather outside Decky's car window at the moment. I'd say I could be in trouble.
Yeah, but I live near the airport, and look, beautiful.
All right,
beautiful.
Guys, we're going to leave it there, and we'll be back next week. All right.
Pull over by the police.
Good luck. Adios.
All
right, guys. All right. Bye.
Los Damas, your weekly unofficial SSE Airtricity Women's Premier Division podcast with Declan McCormack, Eileen Ring and John O'Sullivan. Find us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram.